Lindsay.
I'm Mariah.
I'm Rachel.
This is the Teen Takeover.
Hello, and welcome back to Teen Takeover. I'm your host, Mariah.
I'm your co-host, Rachel.
And we have a very special guest today.
Terrence.
And on this episode of Teen Takeover, we want to talk about our high school and teenage lives and what we have to go through on a day-to-day basis. One of the things that we experience in our high school and teenage lives is gun violence. And it's not necessarily a good thing that we want to experience, especially in this generation. But it's here, and I feel like we feel like that it needs to be talked about.
Yes. Most of gun violence happens because of
Anger and
Definitely generation.
like bullying.
Yeah, and like gang related.
I think the root of like how gun violence starts is because of pretty much the main obvious reason of guns getting into the wrong hands. But I think it's getting into the wrong hands and it's getting into the hands of our youth because of generational trauma, generational anger from the previous. And you know, they are always looking for recruitments for gangs or just to protect yourself. So I think that's where it all starts. And then once our youth gets a hold of these guns, and they just go crazy with it because we are not like fully developed yet. So we're way more impulsive than like everybody else. And we're always going to want to try new things. And one of those, some new things shouldn't be exposed to us because it can really take us into the wrong hands.
Yes, I agree with Rachel 100% because it is gang related. Like it starts from like names being brought up into a song, and it basically feeds into the internet, and it causes like drama between like back and forth through the internet, and it leads to, instead of fighting about it, it leads to shooting.
The gun use and like the altercations, I feel like most of it happens like in schools. Like y'all can just be arguing and fighting, and then it just turns into something way bigger and keep on going, and then it ends up somebody's in jail and somebody gets killed.
I feel like what happens when, especially for gang violence, we as teenagers, we're always gonna like look at ourselves in our own way. When we're like self-reflecting, you know, people know our insecurities because, especially our older generations, because they've been us before. So they're gonna know how we feel. They're gonna relate to how we feel in this current age because they know what we're insecure about. And I think what they do is they take those insecurities and they try to make gun violence or make like joining a gang or just getting into the wrong crowd, getting into the wrong stuff, safe haven for it, or like just try to say like this is gonna help you with it, when in reality it's just gonna make you way worse. Which I could definitely say the same for drug use of like marijuana, prescription pills or anything, because I know that there is a lot of use of that in our youth in Iowa, and sadly it is in as young as probably like 11 years old, because from what I've heard from my fellow like peers that are like of younger ages, they feel scared, you know, because they don't have support. They may not have support at home. They might not get the support they want at school. They might be experiencing something at school. And depression and anxiety is so high on the rise right now with our generation too. So and they find safe haven in like hitting a vape for a second, or going to smoke weed and like numbing everything up. And they think that's one way to just run away from your problems. And one thing I always like to tell them is that you can't just run away from your problems through drugs, because it's always gonna come back. And drugs just might make your problems come back 10 times worse. So I think that's why so much of our generation is getting into gun violence and just going into gangs and doing drugs and all this stuff, because they have nowhere else to turn. No one else to turn to. They have nowhere else to go, and they just think that that's the last solution, sadly.
And they just bottle everything up inside. They don't know who to tell, who can they trust, because the internet.
And I agree with both of you guys. A lot of in this generation, there is a lot of like drug use with either younger kids or like teenagers. And I know it has started. Like the drug use has started like probably from like when you're 11. And I feel like as you're going into middle school, you think like it's gonna be like you're basically better than everyone, and like you're gonna end up in the wrong crowd, and it's gonna like really mess you up, and it's gonna really damage you. And it could also damage a lot of people. And but when you hit high school, that's when like reality hits. Like it's not so easy anymore, and like you're going to lose a lot of friends than what you had in middle school, because in high school a lot of people don't care about you, and that's just how it is. Like they'd rather choose drugs or like some type of gun violence over like their friends, I guess.
And they would want to do it to like be cool, to try and fit in, but like you want to be who you are. Like if there's like a group of kids that are just like you, or like just be yourself, that's what you have to do. Like
you shouldn't you shouldn't have to change to fit in. You should just be you and just stay to yourself.
And like to all the like parents or guardians out there who has a kid maybe in this area, or was taking care of a child in middle school or high school, really keep a close eye on them. And I don't mean like really keep a close eye on them as like to hover or like kind of just watch them invade, but like just like check in on them, see how they're doing in school, see what's going on in their lives, because you really don't know what happens in a teenager's, a young person's life, especially in middle school. Middle school is so full of decisions that could impact you for your future, because you're fresh out of elementary school. I still remember when I was in elementary school, I thought middle school was gonna be just like elementary. But in 6th grade, I was just so exposed to all this new stuff, and I didn't know why. And I was presented with so many times I had to make a decision that would probably like create me into the person I am today. So just really like watch your child, make sure they're making the right decisions, and if they're on the wrong path, don't like be so quick to hover over them or like get mad at them, but just like hear them out, like, and really listen to what they're going through, because especially today with all this going on, you really don't know what happens when your child is out in school or with their friends or anything.
And all of it is not just in Des Moines, Iowa, it's everywhere. Like, they had a big mass shooting in Texas. I can't remember the other one, but like it's happening everywhere, and it's filled with people who are angry, sad, and it's their mental health taken over because they probably have nobody.
And it gets around the internet pretty fast, and like you genuinely never know what somebody's going through behind closed doors. Like they could tell you they're okay when they're really not. And with parents, I feel like they do need to be checking up with their kids and following up to see like what's going on in their life, because they could tell you straight to your face that they're okay, but when they go to their room, it's you don't know what they could be doing. Like you don't know what they could be thinking. They could be thinking something suicidal, or they could be taking some type of drug or like some type of substance that could potentially kill them. And it would damage a lot, because as a parent, you like feel some type of grief towards it, like it's your fault because you wasn't checking in on them.
I agree with that part about suicides. One thing I've noticed, I've been doing a lot of research on, is teen mental health and teen suicides. Teen suicide has skyrocketed since like 2011. And I think the one thing about it is because of either the drug use that they're getting with, or they just don't have anyone to talk to. Sadly, they don't have that type of home life. And their school environment, it's not only the students that can potentially hurt their mental health, but it's also the teachers. What are the teachers doing to help their help these children navigate life? What are they doing to help them express themselves? What are they doing to help them decompress? Because it really builds up, and when it builds up, it just eats you up, and when you can't tell anybody, it's just so bad, and then
you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. Like, you think you're not worth it, and it makes you not want to be on this earth,
like self-destruct, or even it may make you even want to harm others, which is never the case, which could also lead to what school shootings are going on. They're going on because of these teens that don't feel, or this, not even teens, but also just young adults. They're thinking in their mind, they got nowhere to be, they got nowhere to go, they have nothing to lose, so they feel like that they should just inflict something on someone else just because they've been battling for so long. And I think if we were to pay more attention to our youth, pay more attention to their mental health, pay more attention to just everything that they do, lead them on the right path, and be like the guidance mentors that we're supposed to be towards them, that it will impact how they are going to cope, because they're not going to go back. They're not going to, if they're coping with you, if they're feeling comfortable in a space where they could share what their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, they won't be having to turn to drug abuse, and they won't have to be turning to gang violence or gun violence, because they feel like they're finally they have somebody to talk to, they have someone to look up to.
I feel like teachers do play a big role into this topic, because when you're in school, you think you're going there to learn. That's what you expect, at least. But there's kids that might be jealous of you, which causes you to get into that mental state and feel like you're not worth nothing. And I feel like students can't go to teachers without teachers bringing in that student and making it a bigger scene, or making it a bigger deal than what it has to be. Students should go to a teacher and feel safe, and not feel forced to do something, And with that being said, in high school, you don't really have that type of any teachers that will play that part or that role to make you feel like you're not alone. When you're in high school, you're basically alone. It's just you, unless you fall into that wrong crowd, which puts you at that type of mental state and gets you feeling angry, which causes the gun violence, or which causes young teens or children to lose their life.
And when someone loses their life, it affects the whole entire societal mood for everyone. Because I remember when that Start Right Here shooting happened, the school, my whole entire school, it was just such a depressing mood for a while, because they lost someone who really made the school come together, full of joy. And so when somebody loses their life, it's just a big thing to take into account and make sure that this doesn't happen again, because though we're still growing, we're still learning, we need mentors, and we need role models to look up to, so we don't end up like history repeating itself.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I want to talk about is the crowd of people who you hang around. Like you could hang around with this group of people, and then randomly these people don't like you because of the people you hang around. Like, and I'm speaking for me, for example, like I've been in 2 fights because of I hung around people and I didn't like I was close with them, and then people that like were my friends, they didn't like these people, so they brought me into the drama, and then it spiraled.
Yeah, one thing about you definitely do gotta watch who your not even your team who talking to the parents who your team surrounds themselves with, but also the teenagers themselves. We need to look around. We need to watch out for who we are surrounding ourselves with. Because for me, I've been through many friend groups. I've been through many friendships to where the point where like I have some trust issues now, but like it's like you have to really watch who people's how people act, because trust me, they are not who they say they are. When they say they're your friend, it really just helps through actions, and also who you surround yourself with, or even what you surround yourself with. It really takes an impact into how you grow, how you develop, and who you become to be, like how you grow into that person. And so that also bleeds into your mental health. That also bleeds into what you want to do when you grow up. Also bleeds into what you're gonna do, like how you're gonna cope with things when you grow up. You know, it really affects how we deal with stuff in our brain. If not just who we're surrounding ourselves with, but also with what. And so we really need to be careful out there when we're out with friends, so-called, or out with people that have things that they probably shouldn't. We just really need to pay attention to the decisions we're making now, because when I tell you they're going to be decisions that's going to affect you for your whole entire life, they are definitely all going to be decisions that affect you for your entire life.
And one thing that Rachel said, I feel like you genuinely gotta watch who you call your friends, because what Rachel said, they aren't who they say they really are. Like, you don't know what they could be like, what they could be planning behind closed doors. Like, if like you hang out with this friend and that friend don't like that friend, and it could basically cause like a bigger solution where it's like, there was something that happened in, I think, the UK with this young girl getting stabbed and beaten on by 3 of her friends over a boy. And I feel like boys do play a big part in like what's going on today, because of they're either related to a gang or they're fighting over a female, or females are fighting over one boy who's probably ain't even worth it, honestly. But yeah, I just feel like you genuinely gotta watch who you call your friends, because at the end of the day, you don't know what they could be talking about you behind your back.
So keep your close friends close.
All right. Thank you for tuning into this episode on Team Takeover. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good job.
Be listening and watching
Team Takeover,
and we will see you guys next time.
Have a great day.